The rules of polo were created for the purposes of safety. The objective of the Blue Book video guide is that of the Blue Book which inspired it, to make the sport of polo as safe as possible for players of all levels. Rule 23A. By definition, the line of the ball is the line of its course, or that line produced forward or backward at any moment.
So we start by just finding the line of the ball. The line is the line that the ball is traveling, and you project that line to both ends of the field. So you extend it behind you and in front of you, on through the field and all the way around the world if you so desire.
In this example, the player in the foreground in the light jersey crosses to the right side of the line as he hits. Distinguishing between the line of the ball and the direction a player is riding can be confusing.
When the line and someone else is going to it and it's going to change the line of the ball, I have to try and anticipate, if I'm playing the ball, where he's going to hit it to, therefore creating the line.
Every time the ball changes direction, so does the line of the ball. Sounds simple. But as this play shows, keeping track of the new line can be quite difficult. Unlike the ball itself, the line of the ball is invisible. A divot, a horse's hoof, even the spin on a ball can create an odd-shaped line that may fool even the most experienced eye. Identifying and reacting to the new line is essential.
Anybody that wants a right to hit the ball on the line that is presently there has to adjust to that new line. When you fail to adjust to that new line, now all of a sudden you have fouls. The better players know how to adjust to the new line.
Rule 23B. When a dead ball has been put into play through being hit at and missed, the line is considered to be in the direction in which the player was riding when the ball was hit at. The player on the white pony misses the knock-in, then circles back for another attempt at a shot. However, he must give way to the player on the black pony who has dropped on the line. A defender must be aware of the line even if he has not actually seen it. In this case, as the dotted arrow indicates, the line is the direction the player on the white pony was riding when he missed the knock-in.
So there is an actual line. That's the only situation where you can't see a line, but there is an actual line. And in the outdoor rules, the line was determined to be the direction the player was riding when he swung at it and missed.
Rule 23C. If the ball becomes stationary while remaining in play, the line of the ball is that line upon which it was traveling before stopping. This example demonstrates how important and difficult it can be to keep track of the ball as it becomes stationary. First, note the line of the ball after the player in the dark jersey, lower left, hits it forward. Now, follow the player in the light jersey and the dark player's teammate, upper right, as they approach from off the line. Although the dark player circles wide, he establishes himself on the line. The light player believes he is closer to the line and makes a sharp turn to the left, crossing his opponent at almost 90 degrees to the line. Foul on the light player. Instead of following the line the ball was traveling, he follows the direction the first dark player was traveling after he swung at it and missed.
A ball that was in play and had a line, that line doesn't change until the ball is moved again. It doesn't take a foot of movement to change a line, but it has to be hit and moved before the line can actually change.
Those he doesn't have a line has to give it up, Mr.
Rule 24A. At each moment of the game, there shall exist, as between any two or more players in the proximity of the ball, a right-of-way, which shall be considered to extend ahead of the player entitled to it and in the direction in which the player is riding. Rule 24B. The right-of-way is not to be confused with the line of the ball, nor does it depend on who last hit it.
The line of the ball just establishes the direction of the right-of-way.
To depict this right-of-way and distinguish it from the line of the ball, we will use a graphic lane similar to that used in the Blue Book.
Well, in order to get the people in the clinics to understand what the right-of-way is, first I try to get them to understand what it physically is, okay? And what it physically is, it is a space that you occupy to go to the ball to be able to hit the ball on your right side, okay? Now that's differentiated from what does the right-of-way give you. The right-of-way gives you the right to hit the ball on the right side if you have established yourself in that space. It's like a lane, huh? It's like a freeway, a highway.
Most fouls occur because one player crosses into the right-of-way lane of another. Here, the player in the dark jersey fouls by crossing into his opponent's right-of-way lane after he hits a near-side back shot.
After a near-side shot is taken, the most frequently called foul is after the ball is hit. They may be parallel, but they drift across the line.
The player with the line of the ball closest to the off or right side, in this case the player in the light jersey, is generally entitled to the right-of-way. The light player has established himself in the offside lane and is therefore entitled to an offside shot. Player in the dark jersey, who has the near side only, fouls the light player twice. First by crossing over to take an offside shot, and again by hitting into his pony. A player who safely places the line of the ball on his offside and can keep it there without crossing has the right-of-way. The player in the light jersey hits a near-side forward shot, then crosses behind his opponent in the offside lane to ask for an offside play at the ball. The dark player does not foul by making an offside backhander, as he started and stayed on the offside of the line. The physical dimensions of the right-of-way will vary somewhat. Essentially, the right-of-way extends from the left side of the player's horse to the furthest point at which he realistically needs to place the ball for the shot he is about to make.
The problem with defining it as wide as a person can reach is the tendency for a person to reach for that ball way out and over in front of another horse that may be following the proper right-of-way. So I define it as the width of a lane that a horse can comfortably gallop down next to the ball without being over the top of the ball. And there's some leeway sideways in that, but not a whole lot.
In this example, the player in the light jersey drifts out of the right-of-way. After vacating the right-of-way, the light player swings too wide in making his turn to reclaim it, allowing his opponent to cut inside. By failing to keep the ball at a realistic distance, the light player gives up his right-of-way and a play on the ball.
You're given an area in which to get to the ball, and you have a little bit of playing room so that you can make a little bit of a maneuver to adjust to get to the ball correctly. Once you get out of those dimensions, you're out of the right-of-way. And if your left stirrup starts hanging out of the right-of-way on the left side, on the shoulder side of the lane, then you're starting to get into a dangerous area to where you're opening up the right-of-way to the inside upon the inside of you.
The width of the right-of-way lane may vary according to the shot a player is attempting to make. A player who is intentionally placing the ball further away or who is attempting to reach a ball that is bounced away is entitled to a wider lane. Here, the player in the right-of-way is forced to reach out for a ball that is bounced away from his mount, but which is still at a realistic distance for him to attempt a shot.
I'd say 2 or 3 feet is guaranteed. After that, it's a judgment call.
The right-of-way also extends ahead of the player or players entitled to it. Here, the player in the light jersey, approaching from the offside, fails to look back and see that the players behind him are established on the line of the ball, and therefore entitled to the right-of-way. By dropping into and across their lane, and by entering their extended right-of-way, light fouls.
Now, entering does not mean you have to go 5 feet inside of that right-of-way. Entering merely means that once you cross the yellow line on the shoulder side of the road, and the last layer of chrome on your bumper gets across that yellow line, you are now in my right-of-way. You are in my lane. And when the last layer of chrome that was put on your stirrup enters into this lane that I'm occupying, you are fouling.
The extended right-of-way is the distance necessary to cross in front of an oncoming player or players who are established in the right-of-way lane. Although the player in the dark jersey makes a safe play on the first player in the light jersey, he dangerously interferes with the second, who, by following along the line of the ball, is also entitled to his share of the right-of-way and safe access to the ball. Foul on dark.
Instead of entering the right-of-way, they come at the right angle, they make the hook, and then the second player, the line continues forward and backward, And sometimes by doing this play, they don't foul the first guy, they make a good play on the first guy, but, as they go across, they foul the second man. And some people, even the high player, they say, they don't understand why there was a foul. But actually, that's a big foul.
Blocking a player's right-of-way, as in this example, is a foul. By improperly executing his right-off, the player in the dark jersey slides across in front of his opponent, impeding his safe access to the ball. A player can also violate the right-of-way by encroaching from the side. As the player in the dark jersey turns, he drifts over into his opponent's offside lane, denying him safe access to the ball. Foul on the dark.
If you can ensure the safety by emphasizing the fact that we have to have the safety zone, then you can see where the movements, even if a guy's on a slower horse and one's on a faster horse, they can make all these very graceful movements as long as they separate and give the ball enough room. They give the ball enough room on both sides, and everybody can sweep in and make these plays.
Watch the second pair of players. In this play, as in the last, the defender in the dark jersey does not give the ball enough room, allowing his horse to cross his opponent. Now, compare the first and second pair of players. Notice that the first pair of players make the correct play on the ball, each on his own side. But in the second pair, the player in the dark jersey enters his opponent's lane and prevents him from making a play on the ball by placing his horse on top of it. Foul on the dark player. A player waiting to make a defensive play on his opponent will often permit a portion of his horse to hang into the right-of-way. The dark player turns and establishes himself in the offside right-of-way lane as the number 2 light opponent approaches from the near side. The player in the light jersey allows his horse's head over the line, blocking the right-of-way of his opponent in the dark jersey and his safe access to the ball. Foul on light. Here, light also infringes on dark's right-of-way with the head of his pony while making a defensive play. The angle of light's approach causes the head of his pony to enter dark's right-of-way lane. Although light never actually crosses the line of the ball, he violates his opponent's right-of-way and endangers both ponies. Foul on light. Here, the player in the light jersey denies 2 opponents safe access to the ball. Watch the number 3 player in the light jersey. After blocking the first dark player's right-of-way with the front of his horse, the light player angles to the left, leaving the back of his horse as an obstacle for the second dark player. Foul on light.
Actually, that's in Mexican very dangerous, because if this guy actually was running to you, he would cut the back legs and he would either go down or will knock you down. But, once again, that cuts the continuity of the game and the fluidity of the game. That's one of the biggest and most forgotten fouls in polo, the blocking of the right-of-way or giving the back legs to the people coming with the ball.
Player's attempt to take more than his fair share of the right-of-way is commonly referred to as manufacturing a line. By turning behind the dark player's pony and appealing for a foul, this opponent hopes to make it appear as though he were being crossed, while both actually have safe access up to the line and on past the ball.
The right-of-way does not change by your movements. The right-of-way changes by the direction of the ball.
In this example of manufacturing a line, a player attempts to give the illusion a foul has been committed by the opponent. Watch as the player on the dark pony, on the near side of the line, crosses behind the player on the white pony, who is established on the off side of the line. Again, the player's purpose is to claim a play not rightfully earned by creating the illusion of a foul.
Stay smart. Everybody's playing smart right now. Let's stay that way.
Rule 24C. No player shall enter or cross this right-of-way except at such a distance that not the slightest risk of a collision or danger to any player is involved.
What's a foul? A 90-degree cross doesn't necessarily have to be a foul. So it depends on speed, it depends on distance.
In this crossing example, there is adequate distance, and therefore no risk of danger. Again, the player in the light jersey obviously crosses 90 degrees to the line of the ball. However, it is not a foul, as no other player is on the right-of-way nearby. In this example of entering the right-of-way, there is not adequate distance. In this crossing foul, dark is at fault. The player in the dark jersey enters from the near side in front of his opponent in the light jersey, who is following on the offside right-of-way. Foul on the dark player. Here, too, there is clearly not enough distance for the player in the dark jersey to attempt to cross. The dark player fouls by crossing his light player's right-of-way and actually causes a collision. While directly impeding a player's right-of-way is always a foul, crossing or entering may not be if it takes place at a safe distance. In this crossing example, the player at lower left moves up the right-of-way as the opponent in the dark jersey approaches from off the line at right. The dark player jumps quickly across the line and does so without the slightest risk of collision or danger to the opponent, who is trailing behind on the right-of-way. Notice the distance between the dark player as he crosses and his opponent. No foul.
20 yards between two players who are going completely different speeds may be a foul. If the player crossing is going slow, or if he drops in on the right-of-way and is going slow, the player behind is closing the distance. The relative speeds of the two players is all important in any crossing foul.
It is the relative speed as well as the distance between two players that determine when it is safe to enter or cross the right-of-way. Here, the number 3 player in the dark jersey turns quickly on the new line as his number 4 opponent in the light jersey hurries to get to the ball. The light player comes from off the line at a wide angle. Notice dark look up from the ball as his opponent enters his right-of-way. By the time the light player is in the offside lane, the dark player is up to speed and closing the distances between them. Foul on light.
We say just to look up because you're running with the ball, and the guy in front of you has to give you a free pass for you, your horse, and the ball. And it shouldn't even slow you down or make you look up to cause a foul.
Even at the throw-in, relative speed and distance are the prime considerations. Watch as the player in the dark jersey crosses the player in the light jersey. The dark player was at a much slower pace than his opponent, who was already at a canter, and closes the distance before dark can hit. Foul on dark.
But if a player goes down the field with the ball and he's going as fast as he can, and a player enters the line without causing any dangerous situation, I mean, there's a fine line there, and you have to define that fine line, which is very difficult to do.
In this example, relative speed is in favor of the crossing player. Although the light player turns fairly quickly, he does not get moving on the new right-of-way before the dark player crosses and escapes with the ball. No foul on dark.
The most dangerous foul is not necessarily defined, but it's when a player coming at speed has to check or slow down or pull out of the play to avoid an accident.
Here, the cross by the light player in the foreground after his offside backhander is dangerous. Watch as the light player approaches from the right. Notice his opponent in the dark jersey on the right-of-way behind, checking to avoid a collision, and how quickly, due to the difference in relative speeds, the distances close. Foul on light. In this play, a near-side backhander has the same result. Watch the dark player as he comes from outside the right-of-way to make a near-side back shot. His angle to the line and failure to flatten out on it before his stroke cause him to cross. Again, note how the player in the light jersey he fouls is forced to pull up to avoid a possible collision. Relative speeds between the two players is fairly equal here. Foul on dark.
It shouldn't be a foul just because you crossed me. It should be a foul because there was an element of danger added in there. Not actual danger, not that I had to pull up to keep from running over you, but near danger, or that I had to look up, or that I had to slow down to keep it safe.
Danger or the perception of danger are the determining factors in a cross. In this example, it is the potentially dangerous situation caused by the player in the light jersey cutting across his opponent's right-of-way that causes him to pull up and out of the play. Foul on light. In this crossing foul, actual danger is evident, although the player who crosses does not attempt to hit. As the player in the dark jersey pushes down the right-of-way at full speed, the player in the light jersey crosses him at a much slower speed and with no distance between them. Also, from this side angle, note the front legs of the dark player's pony entangled by the hind legs of the light player's pony as they pass. Remarkably, no one went down. Foul on the light player. This is an extremely dangerous crossing foul.
The old wives' tale version of the rules, or the misconception of the rules, is that it's all right to cross as long as he doesn't hit. It's not all right to cross as long as you don't hit. It's all right to cross with enough speed and distance so that it's safe.
The large angle from which the player in the light jersey approaches this line is an important factor in his inability to make this play without fouling the opposing player in the dark jersey. The head of the light player's pony crosses the line and actually collides with his opponent, who excessively appeals the foul committed against him. As in the previous play, the defending player, here in the dark jersey, comes in at a very sharp angle to the near side right-of-way. Watch as the dark player approaches the light player from off the line. Although the player in the dark jersey flattens out and avoids actual contact with the player in the light jersey to his left, it appears that part of his horse crosses over the line before he hits the ball. The umpire's viewpoint directly behind the play is a good indication Dark deserved the whistle he got. As this play clearly demonstrates, while a polo ball travels in lines and turns at angles, a horse moves in circles. The player in the dark jersey hits an angled neck shot that carries his pony across the line before he can react and return to the right-of-way. Then he circles back and crosses both right-of-way lanes for an offside shot and fouls the light player. Dark's foul is a common one after taking a neck shot, as the player often fails to realize how far from the line of the ball he has actually traveled.
He has clearly left the line of the ball. As soon as he's taken that neck shot, he's ridden over the line of the ball, and the only possible play he could make would be to curl around, get back on the line in the secondary right-of-way on the near side, and take a near side shot, forward or backward, whichever way he wants to do. He can't make a circle and come to the line at a big angle of the line and expect to have a right to hit that ball.
Watch the number 2 player in the light jersey as he makes a cut shot to the right. Watch Light again. After making the shot, Light attempts to circle back. But as he circles back, he is met by the number 4 dark player, who wisely drops on the right-of-way Light has created, catching him in a 90-degree cross. Foul on Light.
And a lot of low-goal players, and I've seen it a fair amount in high goal too, that don't have the concept that they left the line that much. They don't realize how far they've left the line before they come back to the ball, and they think they've just turned and gone right down the line.
This example illustrates the proper way to turn on the ball. The player in the dark jersey enters the right-of-way at an angle to it and immediately taps the ball forward in order to change the line. Now he is on the right-of-way and can take his time in setting up, turning the ball again, and finally taking his shot downfield.
When may you enter the right-of-way in front of another player? When can you cross the line in front of another player? You can do it when there is no degree of risk of danger, I believe is the way the book puts it. to either the player or his horse or the opponent and his horse in the process of the crossing the line.
Relax, right, split bubble, man, relax, don't worry about that.
Rule 24D. If the line of the ball changes unexpectedly, for example when a ball glances off a mount, and as a result the right-of-way changes, the player who had the right-of-way must be given room to continue a short distance on the original right-of-way. A player clearing the right-of-way may make no offensive or defensive play in doing so.
Basically, a quick line change means that there was an old right-of-way established. Everybody's proceeding along an old right-of-way, and all of a sudden, when the line changes, you've got a new right-of-way, but it's changed unexpectedly or in a different direction quickly, and that's something that a lot of people need to keep as a concept. Anytime you've got a line change and you have a new line, everyone realizes that there's a new line, but the quick line change concept comes into play when it happens so quickly that there are people on the old line that can't react quickly enough, and they need to be considered somehow.
The extended right-of-way is a key factor in quick line changes. In this example, the first player in the light jersey has the right-of-way and is being trailed by a teammate also in the right-of-way path. The player in the dark jersey makes a legitimate play on the first light player when he steals the ball, but fouls the second light player who is entitled to safe passage ahead on the old right-of-way. A player on the old right-of-way must be given room to continue ahead on it until he can collect his horse and move out of the way. In this example, number 2 in the light jersey taps the ball back and away, then follows too quickly across in pursuit of the new line. Foul on light. Number 4 in the dark jersey, who is still pushing up the old line, does not anticipate his opponent's backhander and must be given room to clear out. A player cannot be expected to anticipate a sudden line change or be penalized for not doing so.
Generally, if there's any deviation from the old line, suddenly you have to be given time to clear out of the way.
In this quick line change play, number 3 in the light jersey taps the ball under number 3 in the dark jersey, who is waiting outside of light's lane. Light number 3 checks in order to give his opponent time to clear. He clears as quickly as possible, allowing light's number 1 teammate to hit and the play to continue. Number 3 dark was expecting number 3 light to hit the ball forward and did not anticipate the sudden line change. No foul on dark as he clears promptly. No foul on light either, as he allows his opponent the time he needs to clear.
If the defending player didn't move, if he just is there and the other player taps it into his horse, it's not a foul.
Not allowing a player time or room to clear can also be bad strategy. By pushing up the new line before the players in the dark jerseys can clear out, as the player in the light jersey does here, he forfeits his play and should not have a foul called in his favor. In this quick line change example, the near side is used to advantage by the player in the light jersey. By using the near side, the player in the light jersey changes the line, but is still able to give his opponent in the dark jersey, who is traveling at speed down the old line, free passage to cross and clear the new right-of-way. The light player moves off the top of the line and into the near side right-of-way, where he waits for the ball to reach him. He taps it back and away, creating a new line, then waits for the dark player to clear the old right-of-way before following the new right-of-way he has created.
Even if somebody happens to be standing facing the direction of that new line, they have to allow me time to clear out, to go on through. If I can't stop and turn around, they have to allow me the time to go through that old right-of-way, clear that old right-of-way before they come proceed along the new right-of-way.
The player on the white pony, upper right, happens to be facing the direction of a new line. The player on the black pony is simply there when the line changes. Therefore, the player meeting the ball along the newly created line has no right to push for a foul against him. A player clearing the right-of-way may not make an offensive or defensive play while doing so, as the player in the dark jersey does in this example. The dark player hits the ball off his light opponent. Light turns to follow the new line while the dark player, following on the old right-of-way, attempts a shot at the ball. The dark player fouls. not necessarily because he fails to clear, but because he makes an offensive play at the ball while doing so. Here's another attempt at an offensive play on a newly changed line. Number 3 in the dark jersey taps the ball out to the right and creates a new line. The player in the light jersey follows the old right-of-way for an offensive play. At the last minute, he thinks better of it and pulls out, avoiding a collision, and in this case, a foul. In this example, the player on the black pony commits an illegal defensive play. The player on the white pony taps across the old right-of-way, creating a new line and a new right-of-way. As the player on the white pony must allow his opponent time to clear the right-of-way, the player on the black pony may not take unfair advantage by slowing down and blocking the right-of-way, or as he does here, by using the time his opponent is allowing him to check up and turn back to make a play at the ball. Instead, he should station himself for the next play, as he does now.
Now, where the lines blur a little bit is when a player can react to a quick line change, and he can shut down and make that turn and get out of the old right-of-way and get on the new right-of-way. If he can do that, then the quick line change rules don't apply, and that's something very important to keep in mind.
This is an example of how a player who can anticipate a line change, as number 2 in the dark jersey does, can legally make a play on the new line. The number 2 player in the dark jersey, on the offside of the line, anticipates the play number 3 in the light jersey is about to make, and turns to legally take an offside back shot. Light started from the near side and can claim only the near side in the newly created right-of-way. If a ball hits off a pony, the player on that pony has only fouled if he has impeded the right-of-way. The dark player decides too late to pull off an attempted backhand shot. He fouls by impeding the right-of-way of the player in the light jersey. Dark's foul is only made more apparent by the ball hitting into his pony. The windmill appeal by Light is also a foul here.
If I'm on an old right-of-way and I'm running the ball forward, and you come in front, and I hit the ball off of your horse or something like that, then that's a foul on you, and that's the distinction between a right-of-way foul and a quick line change call.
Here, the player in the light jersey commits 2 fouls. The light player creates a dangerous situation by crossing into the near side right-of-way of the player in the dark jersey. The fact that the ball hits Light's pony is immaterial here, but emphasizes Light's illegal cross and dangerous riding, 2 obvious fouls. However, Dark's excessive appeal should cost him the free hit he has earned. In this example, the player with a right-of-way hits into an opponent who is outside the right-of-way. The opponent in front is clear of the dark player's right-of-way as Dark hits into his pony. No foul here. Rule 24E. No player may have the ball directly in front or on the near side if by doing so an opponent is endangered who could have safely attempted to hook the player or to hit the ball had the original player been placed with the ball on the offside. In this graphic, the near side right-of-way lane, available only if certain conditions are met, is indicated by the color yellow, representing caution, to distinguish it from the offside right-of-way lane.
Before I ever get to the ball, I need to establish myself in one of those lanes. In the offside lane, I don't care what anybody does. I'm great there. But when I get into the near side, it's a shaded area. Now I've got responsibilities to make sure that I don't deny somebody else a play.
The player in the dark jersey denies his number 2 opponent in the light jersey his right to a play on the offside of the line. Dark crosses from the near side to the offside, fouling light number 2, who was following on the offside right-of-way. Had Dark stayed on the near side, he would not have fouled and also could have attempted a near side play. Here is another example of the responsibility a player on the near side, in this case Dark number 3, has to a player on the offside. Although Dark number 1 has the offside right-of-way, he is called off by his number 3 teammate on the near side of the line. As Dark number 1 leaves the play, his light opponent drops in and picks up the ball on his offside and escapes with it. No foul on this light player, as he starts with the ball in his offside and never endangers or limits his opponent's access up to the line. Here, the player in the light jersey uses the near side to proper advantage. The light player sees the ball hit from behind, moves into the near side lane, and checks up to allow the ball to reach him. On the offside, this definitely would have been a foul. However, because he is in the near side lane, and because no one is approaching from behind in his lane, he may wait for the ball to reach him. No foul.
The advantage to being on the near side versus the offside is you can sit on the near side, put yourself on the near side of a right-of-way, even an anticipated right-of-way, and wait for the ball to come past your stirrup. On the offside, you can't wait for the ball to come past your stirrup. If you slow down and you wait for the ball to come past your stirrup, then you're blocking somebody else's right-of-way behind. When that happens, you move to the near side, and you're not blocking his right-of-way.
In this case, the player may not wait for the ball on the near side. The number 1 light player attempts to return to the ball from the near side of the line. He fouls because the right-of-way is already filled by 2 players, number 2 light and number 2 dark, who are approaching from behind and making a play on each other.
It doesn't matter which side of the line a man's waiting on. He cannot wait. If there's 2 men coming up the line behind him, he cannot slow down and wait for a ball to pass his stirrup.
One of 3 conditions of safety must be met for a player to make a legitimate near-side play. First, a player may ride an opponent out of the offside right-of-way by executing a legal ride-off, as dark does effectively here. In this example, although dark does not execute a strong ride-off, he makes sufficient contact with light, causing him to move out of the right-of-way without denying him safe access to the ball. By executing a ride-off, a player can clearly establish his right to a near-side play that might otherwise be questionable.
And I think by either touching him or making him move away from the ball, that allows you to take the ball on the near side. You know, there is no danger because both of them are running parallel at the same speed.
Traveling parallel or nearly parallel to an opponent is the second condition which allows a player to make a near-side play. Dark hits the ball up past his teammate. The player in the dark jersey is traveling parallel to his opponent in the light jersey when the ball is hit past him. By remaining on the right side of the ball and taking the near side shot, the dark player in no way endangers the light player. No foul on dark.
So if the person has been running down the near side of the line with an opponent either parallel or nearly parallel, he can legally hit it on the near side.
It is important to remember that an opponent is not guaranteed a play on the ball, a hit or a hook, when to the right of a player, just protection from a dangerous situation that might be caused by a player taking the ball in front of his horse or on the near side right of way. The player in the dark jersey is parallel to his opponent in the light jersey. So although the light player would like to have an opportunity to a hit or a hook, it is not a foul for the dark player to hit from the near side, as he is not causing a dangerous situation for his opponent by doing so. Light is not guaranteed a play on the ball, just safe passage to the play, which dark has allowed him here. The third condition under which a player may legitimately take the ball on the near side concerns distance. A player must be far enough ahead of an opponent to cross without the slightest risk of danger.
People say, well, how much distance is that? Well, at a walk, it could be a foot. At high speed, and one guy is going 30 and one guy is going 20, it's very dangerous.
The near side foul, in this example, is the result of 2 players who are not riding parallel or nearly parallel and is committed by the player in the dark jersey. The player in the light jersey rides towards the near side lane at an angle to the line. His opponent in the dark jersey decides to approach the ball from the near side. But if he had stayed on the offside, both players would have had safe access up to the line. By moving to the near side, the dark player creates a situation that would have been without danger had he kept the ball on his offside.
If I'm on the offside and a player comes in and I move over to the near side to take the ball, which does not allow this player an opportunity to hook or to hit at the ball, then I have created a dangerous situation and a foul.
Occasionally, an opponent will move out of the right-of-way to avoid a bump. If both players are parallel or nearly parallel, it is not dangerous for a player to move to the near side and therefore not a foul. Simply moving the ball from offside to near side and then crossing over the new line, as in this example, is not a foul. This player hits the ball to his left and continues across the new line to take his next shot on the near side. As the dark player is in no way endangered by the play, it is perfectly legal. A player may never meet another player while carrying the ball on the near side. The fact that a player has been carrying the ball on the near side for some distance, as the player on the black pony has been in this diagram, gives him no additional privilege.
There's a lot of misunderstanding that says, well, if I've been established on the near side and gone the length of the field with it on my near side, that I can just continue and it doesn't matter where anybody's coming from. And that is absolutely not true.
To avoid a dangerous situation and a foul, the player on the black pony must move over and meet the oncoming player offside to offside. A player may not turn back to meet or follow a ball if he has to cross from the near side to get to the offside, unless the distances are sufficient. Dark's opponent fouls by crossing from the near side to the offside at an unsafe distance in front of Dark, who has the offside right-of-way. A player may not move over the line in front of an opponent to take the ball on the near side if by doing so the player creates a dangerous situation. This example again shows negligent use of the near side. As safe as it is to move over to the near side from a parallel position, it is equally dangerous to move over, as the dark player does here, when an opponent is approaching the near side from an angle. The player in the light jersey comes to the near side from an angle to the line. His opponent in the dark jersey, by placing his mount between him and the ball, creates a dangerous situation that could have been avoided had he kept the ball on his offside. Foul on Dark. Legal use of the near side is always dependent on an opponent's safe access to the ball. Players approaching the line of the ball from the right, at almost any angle, must be allowed safe access up to but never across the line. For the player on the white pony to switch from off to near side with an opponent approaching from any of these angles constitutes a foul. The player on the white pony creates a dangerous situation which could have been avoided had he remained on the offside, and therefore fouls.
You start out on the offside and you move to the near side, and by doing so you endanger somebody who could have gotten in that lane safely, then it's a foul. On the reverse side of that, if you do so and it's not dangerous, then it's not a foul.
Rule 24F. As between two players, when one is following the ball and the other meeting the ball. Regardless of their respective angles, a player following the ball has the right-of-way over a player meeting the ball, other than a player meeting the ball with the line of the ball on the offside, who has not crossed and does not subsequently cross the line of the ball at an unsafe distance in front of the player following the ball. A player meeting the ball in this fashion has the right-of-way over a player following the ball.
You've got two players going in opposite directions. Either player will be all right if he never crosses the line to get to his offside, and after he hits, he doesn't have to cross the line.
Here, the player meeting the ball in the dark jersey is fouled by two players following the ball in light jerseys. The player in the dark jersey turns to meet the direction the ball is traveling. He is on the offside of the line. The players in light jerseys are following the direction the ball is traveling. The first gets on top of the line, and the ball hits his pony and stops. The second light player must cross from the near side to reach the offside. Both light players foul. This graphic describes the various directions from which a player may approach the ball. The green quadrant is basically a safe area from which to make most plays at the ball. From the green quadrant, a player is traveling in the direction the ball is traveling and is approaching the line from the left or offside. The red quadrant signifies danger. It is virtually impossible to make a play on a ball from this quadrant if any other players are traveling in the direction the ball is traveling. The yellow quadrants are cautionary areas. As discussed in the near side section, certain important conditions must be met before a player may make a play from either of these near side quadrants. Here's another example of a player meeting the ball who has the right-of-way over a player following the ball. The player in the dark jersey on the white pony is following the direction the ball is traveling, but crosses in front of his opponent in the light jersey who is meeting the direction the ball is traveling. Therefore, the player meeting the ball, in this case light, has the right-of-way, because as the rule states, he has the ball on his offside and does not cross at an unsafe distance to put it there. Foul on the player in the dark jersey.
The right-of-way is the space you occupy to get to the ball, to hit the ball on your offside. Now, in polo, we can cross the line anytime we want, at any speed we want, at any angle we want, at any distance in front of another player on the line that we want, as long as we do not commit any degree of danger to ourselves, our horse, the other player, or the other guy's horse.
Although the player on the black pony is following the direction the ball is traveling, he crosses at an unsafe distance in front of his opponent on the white pony who is meeting the direction the ball is traveling. This is a reverse angle replay of the previous live-action example. Note that the player in the light jersey who is meeting the ball and is offside can make a safe offside play on the ball. However, the player in the dark jersey who is following the direction the ball is traveling must cross to get to his offside play at the ball, and fouls by doing so.
The player who can start with it on his offside and keep it on his offside has the right-of-way over a player who has to cross it to get there to put it on his offside.
In this example, the teammate of the player hitting in also fouls by crossing to get to the offside. As the ball is hit in, the player in the light jersey turns to meet it on his offside. The light player's opponent in the dark jersey, however, who is following the ball, must cross in front of him from the near side to put the ball on his offside. Because he crosses at an unsafe distance, the dark player fouls. Here, the player in the dark jersey knocks in short of his teammate, who turns back to meet the direction the ball is traveling and places his mount on the offside of the line. Dark turns to meet the ball on his offside. Both light players start from the near side of the line and can only get to the ball and the offside shot their opponent has left them by crossing over in front of him. Foul on light.
This player who crosses, and that's the key word, crosses the line to hit the ball on his offside, has created a dangerous situation and therefore foul.
This graphic illustrates how a player following the ball can foul by crossing from the offside to the near side. The player on the black pony is following the ball on the offside. However, after taking a back shot, he allows his horse to cross the line in front of his opponent, who is safely meeting the ball on his offside. Although he starts with the line on the offside, the player on the black pony does not keep the line safely on his offside and therefore fouls his opponent. Although the old meeting following rule did not specifically favor the player meeting the ball, even if he did do so safely, such a play was often called in his favor. For clarification, the revised rule now specifically favors whichever player, the one following or meeting the ball, who does so safely.
There's a misconception, especially among players just starting out, that crossing the line is always a foul. It's not always a foul. It's getting in somebody's right-of-way.
Here, both players meet from off the line at equal angles to the ball. Assuming no other player has the right-of-way, they can safely meet right hand to right hand and cross without fouling.
Two players can meet the ball from anywhere and not foul somebody as long as there's time and there's distance. So two players could meet each other as long as they both are right hand to right hand, don't get in each other's way, and aren't fouling somebody farther up the line, then they can do that safely without fouling.
Rule 24G, subparagraph 1. As between two players, when both are following or both are meeting the ball. The player riding parallel to or at the lesser angle to the line of the ball has the right of way over the player riding at the greater angle to the line of the ball. Here, the player in the dark jersey and his opponent are both following the ball. The player in the dark jersey on the left has the line to his offside, and approaches it at a lesser angle than his opponent on the right, who has the line on his near side. Dark reduces his angle faster than his opponent and does not have to cross the line to make a safe offside shot. His opponent crosses behind and appeals for an offside shot, which he has no right to.
Neither player has established himself on the line of the ball. Now, who has the right of way?
The player who approaches the line with it on his offside has the right of way only if he is at an equal or lesser angle to the line than his opponent. The player in the dark jersey comes from the near side of the line. However, he has the right of way in this play because his angle to the line is much less than his opponent in the light jersey, who comes in from a large angle and blocks Dark's safe access to the ball. Although the player on the near side may have the right to cross the line because he is approaching at a lesser angle than his opponent, this play is often mistakenly called in favor of the opponent, simply because he is approaching the line from the offside.
What I tell players in my clinics, if they're coming at the ball, their best bet is to come to the ball and then follow the right of way rather than going across the line with the ball.
Rule 24G, subparagraph 2. As between two players when both are following or both are meeting the ball. In the rare case of two players on opposite sides of the line of the ball, riding at exactly equal angles to it, both players have the right of way up to the line until the angle of one to the line becomes less than the angle of the other.
If they're at equal angles and they go straight to the ball, the one who crosses the line first is the one who fouls.
In this case, the player with the line on the offside gains the right-of-way advantage by getting to the line early. Both players here approach the ball from nearly equal angles. The player in the light jersey crosses over the line from the near side into his opponent's offside lane and into his stroke. Light's opponent gets there more quickly and therefore controls the right-of-way. Foul on the light player.
Now the question's been asked, can the player from the near side flatten out on the right-of-way and take it on the offside? If he does so early enough, if he comes to the line first and then runs up the offside of the line, then he can take that offside play away from a player coming in at an angle.
Here, two players start at equal angles to the line. The player in the light jersey moves more quickly to the line and flattens out, but with excellent timing, his opponent in the dark jersey legally recaptures it. The light player clearly assumes the offside right-of-way first before the dark player moves to the right-of-way at all. But Dark pushes on and makes a clean, though firm right-off, moving his light opponent across both lanes and stealing the ball away on his near side. No foul on the dark player. In this example, two players are meeting the direction the ball is traveling at equal angles. Because both players are at equal angles to the line as they cross, and no other player has the right-of-way over them, it is no foul for either player to cross or for the player in the dark jersey to take a shot at the ball as he does so. Rule 24H. Two players, when, and only when, riding in the same direction on the line of the ball and simultaneously making a play against each other, have the right-of-way over a single player coming from any direction. Here, the player on the white pony fouls by crossing two players who are on the line of the ball and making a play on each other. This graphic further shows that the player approaching the ball from off the line, here the player on the black pony, could only have made this play safely if no other player had been nearer the right-of-way. This example demonstrates just how dangerous crossing the right-of-way of two oncoming players can be. As you just saw, number 3 in the dark jersey and his opponent in the light jersey turn up the new line of the ball. Dark number 3's teammate attempts to make a play in front of them both, causing him to foul twice. First, by crossing the right-of-way of two players, making a play against each other. Second, by riding dangerously. Contrary to popular opinion, it is possible to foul your own teammate. In this example, number 1 dark and number 1 light turn to follow a ball backed toward goal as the number 4 dark pushes to meet it. Although not yet on the line of the ball, dark number 1 and light number 1 are attempting a play against each other and are not anticipating the approach of the dark number 4 upper left. The number 4 dark player creates a dangerous situation in two ways. by crossing from the near side to meet the ball, and by meeting two players who are attempting to make a play against each other. Note Dark's near collision with Light as he meets the ball. Foul on Dark.
If you are on the line of the ball, you have the right of way, provided that you are not meeting two players.
The player on the white pony approaching from the near side must give way to the two players following the ball who are making a play against each other. However, two players off the line must give way to any single player with the right of way. Although white and black are making a play on each other, they are off of the line and out of the right of way. The single player on the white pony turns to meet the ball and therefore has the right of way. He is fouled in this instance by the player on the black pony, who pushes his opponent across the right of way.
Two players who are off the line, if one of those players, usually the outside player, pushes the inside player across the line and into another player, an oncoming player's right of way, whether that player be meeting it or following it, if he is pushed across that right of way to create a dangerous situation, then he generally fouls.
As in the previous graphic, the two players bumping and pushing each other are off the line and out of the right of way. Number 2 Light fouls by pushing his opponent in the dark jersey across the line and into number 1 Light's right of way. Note the position of the two players in the caution zone before the foul. Here is another example of the outside player pushing the inside player across a teammate's right of way. The player in the dark jersey backs the ball to his teammate, who quickly turns and assumes the right of way. The player in the light jersey fouls by coming from off the line and pushing the opponent in the dark jersey across his teammate's right of way. It is not necessarily illegal for two teammates to protect the right of way, as long as they do not create a dangerous situation. In this replay of a previous example, the player in the dark jersey has turned back to shield the near side right of way as his teammate downfield pulls back. This leaves the light player no access to the ball without crossing from the near side to the offside in front of his opponent. Foul on Light. This play is occasionally referred to as the pick play. This example also demonstrates how a third player may attempt to deny a player on the near side safe access to the ball. Once again, the dark and light players turn to follow the ball and are met by the dark player's teammate, who meets the light player as he's moving in for a legitimate near side play against the first dark player. Also, note the position in the danger zone of the second dark player, who must cross from the near side to the offside at the last minute to meet the ball, and Light's attempt to avoid a collision with him. Foul on Dark.
The shot, it's up, and...
Rule 25A. A player who has safely entered the right of way of another player along the established path that the ball has already traveled, and who is following the ball may slow down or stop in that right of way, provided that players approaching from behind have sufficient time to go around. A player is considered to be on the established path the ball has traveled once the ball is ahead of his stirrup. Note the position of the ball ahead of this player's stirrup before he slows. He may slow down or stop here to avoid a bump from his opponent in the dark jersey as he is following the ball along the path already established.
Assuming that you've maintained your speed and the ball has passed your stirrup and you're in that exact right of way, then yes, you can go ahead and back the ball. And that's where umpire positioning is crucial, because he's got to be able to see whether you drifted into the line or the ball came past your stirrup.
In this example, the player in the dark jersey hits the ball up past his opponent's mount. The ball passes his stirrup, and he neither slows or moves left or right to put it there. Therefore, he is considered to be on the established path the ball has already traveled and is entitled to the right of way. Because the player has met the necessary conditions, he may hit the ball at this point without fouling the dark opponent behind.
The conditions for that have to be the player who hit the ball is directly behind the player in front. He has to be established on the line. And that ball has to go exactly underneath your stirrup.
Here, the player in the dark jersey hits up alongside his opponent in the light jersey, who swings at it as it passes. The light player was established along the near side right-of-way, and it is therefore no foul for him to swing at the ball as it passes. Also note the relative speeds of both players. They are moving at a nearly equal and fairly slow pace, and the light player does not cause his opponent to slow down or pull up in the right-of-way. It is, again, the perception of danger, not actual danger, that determines when a player who is entering into the right-of-way of another player has fouled. A player who enters and slows along the established path of the ball, as the light player in the foreground does here, must do so at a safe distance in front of oncoming players. The player in the light jersey enters late into the path the ball has already traveled and crosses over the line into his dark opponent's near side right-of-way. He then slows down in front of his opponent, who is closing fast from behind on the established path, making this play all the more dangerous. Relative speeds are a key factor when evaluating stopping on the ball plays. Rule 25B. A player who has safely entered the right-of-way of another player along the projected path that the ball has yet to travel, whether meeting or following the ball, may not slow down or stop in that other player's right-of-way. A player entering along the projected path of the ball may not stop or wait for the ball to pass his stirrup, as the player in the dark jersey does here. The player in the bright jersey is traveling along the established path the ball has already traveled, while his opponent in the dark jersey is slowing down on the projected path the ball has yet to travel. By slowing down in front of the ball, the dark player blocks his opponent's right-of-way and fouls. Here is an accepted way to defend a player who is stopping on the ball. Note the angle of contact and relative speeds of the ponies. Number 3 in the light jersey in the offside right-of-way begins to check as he is approached by his number 1 opponent in the dark jersey. As light checks to avoid contact, his opponent checks with him. Light pushes ahead with the opponent riding off at his shoulder. Although the angle is severe, the pace is slow and there is no apparent danger. As the dark player drives across the light player, light checks and dark scoops the ball from the near side. Again, the defender in the dark jersey could have made a smoother play, but it was clean and safe enough given the speeds of the two players and is therefore not a foul. Stopping or slowing on the ball to prevent a defensive play, as number 3 light does here, is being discouraged by allowing more leeway to the defender.
The new interpretation of stopping on the ball is that plays that may be dangerous with speed are not as dangerous when you take the speed away. Bump that is at too big an angle to make with speed may not be dangerous with no speed.
This example demonstrates the defender's rights in stopping on the ball situations. The number 3 player in the light jersey slows and eventually stops to avoid contact with his defender in the dark jersey, as is his right. Light moves forward. Dark makes legal contact and pushes across. As the dark defender is not endangering his light opponent in any way, he is entitled to continue onto the ball and hit it on the offside. However, dark pulls off light again and waits for him to move forward.
So by stopping on the ball, by taking my horse from a run or a gallop to a trot, walk, stop, even back up, removes a lot of the danger that is caused. If I cross somebody 5 yards out ahead of him, that's not nearly as dangerous. If I bump him at a bigger angle, it's not as dangerous. And as long as it's not as dangerous, it should not be a foul.
However, an opponent should not be allowed to merely slide across in front of a player with the right-of-way unless that player has clearly slowed or stopped. The player in the dark jersey slides over and into the right-of-way of his opponent in the bright jersey, who is pushing up the line. The player in the bright jersey checks to avoid the bump as his dark opponent slides in front, but if he had not checked and had continued with pace, the the dark player would have been in an extremely compromised situation. Foul on dark. The difference between this play and the previous one is that the player in the dark jersey finds himself on the near side of the ball after the bump. The player in the light jersey, by checking as he is bumped, actually gives up the offside play he might have had.
If I'm coming to take him legally, why should he have to check? He only checks because he's beaten. I know it because I've been this guy.
From the reverse angle, note that the light player gives up his right to a play when he checks. Not expecting a foul to be called in his favor, he turns and goes on to the next play.
I should have to push anyway to try and make a defensive play because my offensive play is now turned into a defensive play to try to keep this guy from getting the ball. But there is no danger if I check and this guy goes on.
Speed is always the issue in determining when it is safe to enter the right of way of an opponent who is stopping on the ball. Here, the number 2 dark player stops and turns on the ball. The light player approaches to defend on the play, and dark taps under his pony. Dark allows him time to move out of the new right of way, then taps again. Since there is no speed involved, the light player should not be penalized for reaching down and hitting the ball back, even though his horse's head may have crossed the line. This play demonstrates the difference between stopping on the ball and stopping to protect oneself from a collision, as the number 3 dark player must here. A dangerous play should never be allowed in order to discourage a player from stopping on the ball. Also, the right of way does not disappear whenever a player slows or stops on it, as dark does here. By blocking dark's right of way, the player in the light jersey has committed both a dangerous riding foul and a right of way foul.
I think that when somebody blocks a right of way on purpose, that's one of the dirtiest and most common plays in modern polo. And that should be penalized. It should be moved to a severe penalty.
Rule 26. On even terms, a player may ride off an opponent or may interpose the player's mount between an opponent and the ball, but may not ride dangerously. Rule 26A. Bumping in a manner dangerous to player or mount, that is, with undue force, is a foul.
All that has to happen is your horse goes off balance or my horse goes off balance, and if I am the one who initiated this, I had to have fouled.
This is an example of a safe ride-off. Both ponies make shoulder-to-shoulder contact and their speeds are relatively equal. Note light pull back his reach across dark. Here, the dark player is too far back behind the light player's pony to make a safe and legal ride-off. Notice his pony's head driving into his opponent's back and how he crosses the hind legs of the light player's pony several times. This is a perilous play, even at this slower speed.
And most important, I think every time you see horses wobbling or checking, I think there's got to be a foul call in either one of the players. Some of the two players are wrong, or both of them are wrong.
Several factors should be used when evaluating the legality of a ride-off. The player in the dark jersey is on a much larger horse, is moving at a faster speed than his light opponent, and clearly bumps in too far in front. While any one of these factors is dangerous in itself when executing a ride-off, together they prove disastrous here. The relative speed of two mounts is one of the most important factors in a ride-off. It is very dangerous to bump an opponent if you are not moving at approximately the same speed. Here, the player in the light jersey is waiting at the ball for an opponent who is riding into the play at a gallop. Notice the trauma to the light player's pony, who initiates the bump, is as great or greater than to his opponent's pony. In any case, it remains a dangerous riding foul on light. Position at the ride-off is equally important. Ponies should meet shoulder to shoulder and never more than a foot or two ahead or behind. The player in the dark jersey necks the ball, which puts him on the near side of the line. His opponent in the light jersey comes in from the offside and does not expect dark's bump behind the saddle. Foul on dark. As noted in the previous section, a player may not simply slide across in front of another player. Here, the player in the dark jersey slides across his light opponent's pony without making shoulder-to-shoulder contact. Foul on dark. The angle of a ride-off is another important element to consider. Here, the player in the light jersey turns back in front of his opponent at too severe an angle to the newly created line. Notice that the positions of the two mounts, as well as the angle of the bump, make this one extremely dangerous.
But if the player is going in to hit the ball, and he gets ready, and he knows he's about to be hit, and you can see him brace himself for it, and there is no lack of balance in the process by the player ready to hit the ball, then there was no foul, because he knew it was coming and he braced himself for it.
This is an example of a hard ride-off that is still basically safe. Although the angles of approach to the ride-off are sharp, notice both riders adjust to absorb the impact safely.
But when he loses his balance in the process, then there's going to be a foul.
As stated before, on even terms, a player may ride off an opponent or may interpose the player's mount between an opponent and the ball, but may not ride dangerously. Rule 26B. Zigzagging in front of another player riding at a gallop is a foul. The player on the white pony takes an offside neck shot, then circles back to the ball. He hits a near-side neck shot and circles back again to the ball, fouling his opponent on the black pony, who is proceeding on the right-of-way. Zigzagging outside the right-of-way can also be a foul.
It does not have to be just strictly at the line or the ball or the right-of-way. It can be outside of that. And the players still have to relate to what is safe in their ability to get to the line.
Rule 26C. Pulling or sliding across or over a mount's fore or hind legs in such a manner as to risk tripping either mount is a foul. Here, the player in the dark jersey turns into the light player and his pony, then slides across in front to pick up the ball on the offside. Foul on dark.
Obviously, in the back, going from on the back of the horse is very dangerous for the player actually doing that, because you can cut the back legs of the horse and you can have a terrible fall. Actually, that's the most dangerous fall in polo.
Follow the player in the dark jersey as he commits two fouls. After dropping into the offside right-of-way, Dark misses a backhander, which carries him back across the line to the near side. His late attempt at a near-side play causes him to clip the hind legs of his light opponent's pony, as well as cross Light's teammate coming down the line. The dark player creates a dangerous situation for both light players, but even more so for himself. Rule 26D. Riding an opponent across or into the right-of-way of another player at an unsafe distance is a foul. Usually, the player on the outside fouls by pushing his opponent across the right-of-way. Here, the light player on the outside pushes his opponent in the dark jersey across the right-of-way of Light's teammate and spoils his offside play. Foul on the light player for dangerously riding his opponent into a light teammate.
Now, it's real important to remember which player is doing the pushing and which player is getting pushed. It's also important to notice that if the player on the outside checks off early and doesn't push him across the right-of-way, and the player on the inside goes on across on his own, then he's the one fouling.
Here, the player on the white pony fouls as he voluntarily rides across the right-of-way of the player on the black pony who is following the ball with the right-of-way. Rule 26E. Exhibiting a lack of consideration for safety on the part of a player for the player, player's mount, or for another player or mount is a foul.
If you're an umpire and you see something that's dangerous, it had to have been a foul. Why? Because there was a lack of concern on the part of safety for the people involved in it.
For instance, a player who was fouled by another player may not deliberately ride through the foul and endanger either the player or pony. In this play, the player in the light jersey crosses into the right-of-way of his opponent in the dark jersey. The opponent checks, but to guarantee a whistle, rides into the light player instead of turning off the line. Dangerous riding should not be allowed even when a player has been fouled. Although Dark's intentions are not clear, a dangerous riding foul against him, as well as a crossing foul against Light, may be called here. Riding dangerously is a foul, even if committed, as this example demonstrates, against a teammate. Here, the player in the dark jersey commits a right-of-way foul by crossing two players on the line of the ball. The crossing foul is compounded by the dangerous riding foul, which occurs when the teammates collide.
90% of the rules are based on the right-of-way. Makes you a better player if you learn the right-of-way. However, all the rules are designed for safety.
Rule 26F. Two players of the same team riding off an opponent at the same time, whether or not it being on the right-of-way, is a foul. However, it is not necessarily a foul for a player to hook or strike an opponent's mallet while the opponent is being ridden off by a teammate of the player hooking or striking. The number 1 and number 2 players in the light jerseys foul by riding off their opponent in the dark jersey at the same time. However, by hooking in this situation, the player on the white pony does not cause danger to either his opponent or teammate.
They are allowed to have one player riding his opponent out and the other player hooking that same opponent, as long as there's no contact between the horses.
Rule 26G. Riding at an opponent in such a manner as to intimidate and cause the opponent to pull out or miss the stroke, although no entry or cross of the right-of-way actually occurs, is a foul. In this intimidation play, a light player causes his opponent to give up his right-of-way to avoid a collision. The number 4 light player and his opponent in the dark jersey are on the offside right-of-way. Light is called off by a teammate approaching from the near side at nearly 90 degrees. Although the dark player had the right-of-way, and the light player does not actually cross into that right-of-way, Light's intimidating play causes him to give it up. His opponent hesitates, then clears out to avoid a collision. Foul on the light player.
Intimidation, obviously, is any time that you come in to a play, are not on the line, nor have the right-of-way, and cause a player who does have the right-of-way to be intimidated. And there are different degrees of intimidation, whether you cause that player to look up and not hit at the ball, or whether you cause him to avoid contact, move off the line of the ball.
In this replay of an earlier example, the player in the dark jersey denies his opponent in the light jersey free and safe access to the ball. Dark's sharp angle of approach from the near side makes it almost impossible to stay clear of his opponent's right-of-way. Although Dark manages to flatten out, his pony's head still slides across the line, preventing Light's free passage to the ball. Foul on Dark.
I think that's part of the right-of-way. You should have a free line and a free way for you and your horse and the ball to travel without hesitating or being intimidated by another player.
Rule 26H. Deliberately riding one's mount into the stroke of another player is a foul.
If a player has the right-of-way to hit the ball, and an opposing player rides into or obstructs his swing, then the opposing player has fouled.
A hit or swing is defined as the upward or downward phases of a player's stroke. Here, the player in the light jersey rides into his opponent's offside backhand stroke. Light was several strides away when his opponent began his swing, and so is responsible for riding into his opponent's shot on this play. The relative position of the hitter and defender is critical when judging who is at fault in this type of play.
To visualize it, the player coming in to make the play against him, if he's closing at the swing, if he's closing at the ball, then he's riding into the swing. If he was there when the swing started, then the player swinging has no right to hit into his legs.
Who is at fault also depends on who has the right of way. In this example of riding into a stroke, both the number 1 dark and number 4 light players enter the right of way late. Dark fouls twice. First, by entering light number 2's right of way at an unsafe distance. Second, by pushing up into light number 4's stroke. Note light number 4's position ahead of his opponent in the right of way at the point he begins his backhander. Foul on dark. Here's another example of how important the right of way is in evaluating a riding into the stroke play. The light player's pony kicks the ball forward, placing him on the new right of way. His opponent in the dark jersey fouls by turning back into that right of way and into the light player's stroke. Ordinarily, no foul would be called in this situation where 2 players bump, come apart, and then swing at the ball, so long as neither player hits the other player's pony or each other. No foul here.
If player taking the back shot, player A is in this right of way, and player B is in his lane, his secondary right of way, right next to him, and player A takes a back shot and takes a cutaway shot, an open shot, and hits the horse in the legs when the fellow was there, that's backing into a pony.
Although a player may be established on the right of way, he may not hit dangerously into another player or player's mount if they were alongside when the player began his stroke. 2 players ride down the right of way together. The player in the light jersey is obviously alongside before his opponent in the dark jersey begins his stroke. And there is no room for him to hit between horses. Foul on dark for backing into light's pony. Although the player in the light helmet is passing his opponent in the dark helmet, he is only half a horse length ahead of him when he attempts his near-side shot. A full stroke, if hit into the opponent or his pony, would be a foul. The player in the dark helmet hooks the player in the light helmet, and therefore there's no danger and no foul for illegal use of the mallet by light in this play. However, dark's bump behind the saddle, as well as his opponent's excessive appeal following the hook, are worthy of a whistle on both players.
You see 2 players riding, and the player that's trying to hook the player with the ball will have his horse's head right there, almost even with the guy's lap, and be leaning out, trying to hook, boom, 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 reaching out, trying to hook his mallet. This player is obviously in the right of way, but because he was there, because he moved to that position early and was established in that spot, the player hitting the ball only has this play. He can only lean out and tap and try to keep the ball in front of him. He can't take a full swing.
This example illustrates the right way to make a play with an opponent alongside. The player in the light jersey taps the ball forward instead of taking a full swing, which would be a foul if it hit into his opponent's pony. Generally, this play occurs when 2 players bump, and the one with more speed gets an opportunity to tap in front. Here, we see the player in the dark jersey carrying the ball with an opponent trailing him closely. Dark continues to tap the ball while light is alongside. To avoid a hook and to avoid hitting into his opponent or opponent's horse, the dark player must take half strokes here. Riding into a back shot or neck shot is frequently misinterpreted as hitting into a player. The player in the dark jersey is a stride or 2 away from his ride-off when the player in the light jersey begins his hit, and makes contact as light begins the downward phase of his swing. If the player's mallet hits his opponent or his opponent's pony, as lights does here, the foul is on the opponent for riding into the stroke.
Players come in late, hard, whatever, into the stroke, and it gets into a double kind of a foul situation there. Not only are you riding into my swing, but even if my mallet doesn't hit your horse's legs, it can be called a dangerous riding situation because you're bumping me when I'm not prepared for the bump.
Again, in this replay, note that dark falls twice. He bumps his opponent late, causing light's pony to momentarily lose its balance, and also rides into light's stroke. A player who has an opponent alongside may take a neck shot, however, if he does so safely. It is not a foul for the player on the black pony to hit a neck shot while the player on the white pony is riding him off, or for the mallet to follow through into their path, provided it does not actually strike either the opponent or his mount. Ordinarily, no foul would be called against an opponent who attempts to legitimately ride off another player on the same side and at the same time, as that player is merely dribbling the ball, or for merely spoiling a player's shot by safely riding the player off on that side. The light player dribbles the ball downfield with an opponent in pursuit. The opponent rides up into light's right-of-way between strokes and attempts an offside back shot. Although dark could have made a cleaner play by moving light over earlier, the fact that light is merely dribbling the ball gives dark the right to attempt a bump on him here. No foul on dark.
I think when somebody's carrying the ball at either fast speed or slow speed, I think the best way to, and the most successful way to take the ball away from the guy or spoil his shot is by entering the line of the ball or the right of way at an earlier stage. You know, I think if you try to go directly to the ball, you're most likely you're going to end either fouling or missing the play totally or going totally across in front of him.
Here, the player in the dark jersey times his move accurately and moves his light opponent over between taps with a proper ride-off. No foul for the bump, but he earns one quickly thereafter for hitting into his opponent's horse.
Over the back line, we've got a whistle.
Rule 27A. No player may seize with the hand, strike, or push with the head, hand, arm, or elbow, as the light player does here. But a player may push with the arm above the elbow, provided the elbow is kept close to the side. Rule 27B. No player may physically abuse another player.
By no means can you use your mallet as a weapon to try to attack another player, be it your teammate or your opponent or whoever you happen to be mad at the moment. And that I think is an offense that should throw you out, Tucker, if not for the rest of the game. And possibly fine or suspension for a period of time after that.
No player may physically abuse the player's own or another player's mount.
Lane!
Rule 28A. No player may hook or strike an opponent's mallet unless on the same side of the opponent's mount, or in a direct line behind, and the mallet is neither over, under, nor across any part of the opponent's mount. Note the position of the player in the dark jersey on his light opponent's near side as he reaches across to hook, and foul. However, no player may hook or strike an opponent's mallet unless all of the mallet is below the opponent's shoulder. Here, the number 1 light player clearly hooks above his opponent's shoulder. No player may swing the mallet in windmill fashion, as in appealing for a foul. The player in the bright jersey who is crossed by the player in the dark jersey appeals to the umpires by windmilling. Some appeals are more dangerous than others, but a high-speed twirl always calls for a foul.
Any kind of a helicopter is potentially dangerous, twirling the mallet above your head, whether appealing for a foul or riding in glee because you got a good shot or whatever, is improper use of the mallet and should be a foul.
Even a dangerous foul should not be followed by an excessive appeal and can cost a team a free shot opportunity they have earned. Rule 28B. No player may reach immediately over and across or under and across any part of an opponent's mount to hit at the ball, nor hit into or among the legs of an opponent's mount. The player in the light jersey fouls here by reaching across his opponent's pony in what is commonly referred to as a cross hook.
You can't reach across an opponent's horse to hook his stick. That's improper use of the mallet. That's a foul. Under his horse, over his horse, anywhere, in between his horse's legs. That's improper use of the mallet.
Here, the player in the bright jersey on the left is out of the offside lane, but reaches across in front of the dark player's pony to take a swing at the ball. foul. Rule 28C. No player may intentionally strike a mount with the head or butt of the mallet, as the player in the light jersey does here. Rule 28D. No player may use the mallet in a manner which is dangerous or abusive to another player or to the player's own or another player's mount. In this example, the team in the dark jerseys fouls twice. The first dark player fouls by hitting into the light player's pony as he attempts to hook. The second dark player fouls his own teammate when he reaches under his pony to attempt to hit at the ball and strikes hard into the hind legs. Rule 28F. No player may intentionally move or strike the ball after the whistle. Proper use of the mallet, such as this hook, can be a safe and effective offensive or defensive tool. This concludes the Blue Book video guide. The United States Polo Association hopes that using this visual guide with the Blue Book will make the sport of polo safer and more enjoyable for players of all levels.